I call this edition of Central Florida Facilitators to order. Please take your seats. And if you have one of these, and we know that you do, separation anxiety, turn it off, put it in your pocket, whatever you need to do. The mission of our club: provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication, leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. At this time, I would like to introduce to the front of the room a Toastmaster who constantly gives herself for our thought and pledge this evening, Miss Linda Earls.
I just give and give and give. I don't know. This evening I have a thought. I didn't actually prepare it, but I have one thought. There's one thought rattling around up in there, and I'm going to share it. On the way in my travels today, I was on Maitland Boulevard in the fast lane, tooling along, and suddenly a car went zink right in front of me as I was stopping. I was stopping for the light, and I gave myself enough time to stop, but this car just zoomed in there. They do that to us once in a while. And I was going to have negative thoughts, but I slammed on my brakes, and there was actually smoke and the smell of stopping in my nostrils as I read the kind of car, and it said Jaguar. And I was thinking, oh, I'm so glad I could cream the back of that car. And I was actually happy because I just realized, oh, I could have really had a big problem on my hands. But so I went from negative thoughts, going negative, 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 and then went positive, positive, positive. So everything is your way you look at it, and that's my thought for this evening. If you could join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I would like to introduce Nikki Dumitresco with our educational moment.
Do you like hi? Hello.
Hi. I like hi.
Dear fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, thank you for attending our meeting. I hope you like the theme of the meeting tonight, spring. And Robin Williams said, spring is nature's way of saying, let's party. So let's party tonight. I hope we'll have fun, as we usually have. We are not very many participants tonight. We usually are about 15, or sometimes when we have special events even more. And of course, I am late with distributing some flyers. I'm sorry I got late to the meeting. Thank you so much. Just to know. Hold you. What I would like to talk about tonight is the table topics paper. I'd like to give a few information, a few details about this role, and Linda is distributing now very good details about what to do prior to the meeting, what to do during the meeting, and if you check the back of the that page, there is a list with tips on how to become a better table topics master. So what is table topics master? Most of the talking we do every day, simple conversation, is impromptu speaking. Yet for some members, table topics is the most challenging part of a Toastmaster meeting. Table topics continue a long-standing Toastmasters tradition. Every member speaks at the meeting. But it's about more than just carrying on an anxiety-ridden tradition. Table topics is about developing your ability to organize your thoughts quickly and respond to an impromptu question or topic. Table topics usually begin after the prepared speech presentations. The Toastmasters of the meeting will introduce the topics master, who will walk to the lectern and assume control of the meeting. Topics master will give a brief description of a purpose of table topics and mention if the topics will carry a theme. The topic master will state a question or topic briefly and then call on a respondent. Each speaker receives a different topic or question, and participants are called on at random. When you are asked to respond to a topic, stand next to your chair and give your answer. Your response should last 1 to 2 minutes. Now, let's take a deep breath and be remarkable at this meeting with our table topics. Mark our table topics master tonight. Before I give back the lectern to our president, I want to make sure that you all have the competent leader manual, because there are projects here that we can complete and we don't even know when we do that. Like for Romarian, there is a project that we can use the manual for table topics, the same, and so on. I didn't know this from the beginning, so I had to redo some of the roles in order to complete my manual. I hope that we are all aware now, and we use our manuals. We give them to other people to evaluate us, so we complete our projects as soon as possible. Thank you, and let me invite back to the lectern our president, Mr. Johnathan Dunn.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out tonight. Quite an eventful week with taxes due yesterday, unless, of course, you filed an extension. Easter this week, Good Friday. We appreciate the sacrifice of being here. We are called the facilitators for 3 reasons. Numero uno. We are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators, and it's open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader, and Toastmasters is all about communicating and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy and possible. And we want to make things easy and possible for you tonight. One of our favorite things in every facilitator meeting is when we have guests, because we have a very zany cast of characters in here. I know Bonnie is visiting from another club, so Bonnie, would you please stand up, take 30 seconds, tell us where you're visiting from, why you're here, and anything else that we might need to know.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. It's good to be amid fellow Toastmasters. I love the view that y'all have from here. I am from Oscar Toastmaster, which is in Kissimmee. We have our meetings in the Realtor building, so we don't have to pay rent or anything like that, which is very nice. And I like to visit clubs so that I can take what you do and incorporate it into our club. And that way we perhaps will learn a little bit better, grow a little bit better, and help each other out every time we have a meeting. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you for being willing to step in at the last second. And it's Sam, right?
Yeah.
Sam, returning visitor, but we never get tired of hearing from you. So if you would please stand up and remind us why you're here.
My name's Sam Joffrey, and just got a new role at work, so trying to improve my communication skills, and I have to start doing presentations and leading meetings and everything. So pretty bad right now speaking in front of people. Pretty scary for me. So hopefully you guys can help me out and get me there as quick as possible.
Now, this is your third time being here.
It is.
And I'm not joking around with what I'm about to say. You actually sounded best doing your introduction just now than the first time.
Thank
So
you.
we've already seen a result. If you have a calendar, you'll want to mark this date in the calendar. April 27th, 1:30 p.m., the Deltona Library, our very own Stephen Morgan, although he is representing another club that he's in, is going to be competing in the area international speech contest. And he's delivering, what's? Division. It's also confusing. But I'm glad that you're always willing to step in. The division. And I know I've seen a lot of this competition, and it's going to be a wonderful day. Mark it down, April 27th, 1:30 p.m., the Deltona Public Library. International Speech Contest and Table Topics Contest. It's going to be kind of a Camelot Knights Damsel in Distress theme. Without further ado, and this is going to be a really exciting night tonight. Some of my favorite people are speaking. I'm speaking about Ed, of course. I want to call to the lectern a lady who I would consider her a very close friend now. She has been there every step of the way in my year and a half of Toastmasters to lend a hand along with her husband. Anytime I have a question, she's got a delightful theme planned tonight. So please welcome to the lectern, distinguished Toastmaster, Miss Susan Morgan.
Very distinguished.
Very distinguished, not so much tonight. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. It is going to be fun, as it always is when all of us get together. I'm very excited about it. I have a couple announcements of changes on the agenda. First of all, our supervisor of elections will be Julian Coto instead of Willie Navarro, if that's how you say his name. Naranjo? Naranjo. I cannot roll my R's, darling, to save my life. For our first speech, there is a blank there because I didn't know what his speech title was. It is Surety Bonds. So you can make a note of that for Ed Clark's. And I think that's all my housekeeping for today. The first thing I would like to do is introduce our functionaries this evening and let them tell us what they are going to be doing. I am going to start with our grammarian, Stephen Morgan.
Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, our guest is grammarian. I have two particular jobs. One is to expand your vocabulary, and the second is to let you know how you've been using the English language. To expand your vocabulary, you get a word of the day, and as you probably have noted throughout your many years or days or however many times you visited Toastmasters, the word of the day typically is a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. I like to step off the beaten path once in a while. Your word of the day today is a preposition. So you may have an interesting time trying to figure out how to fit that in, although our guest has already demonstrated it. The word is amid or amidst. Amid or amidst. They're both correct. The meaning that you are in the middle of, surrounded by, among, or to stand, by or among. The example is to stand weeping amid the ruins. It could also mean during, as in throughout the course of. The other example here being our dream home set amid a magnificent rolling countryside.
Can you spell it?
AMID, there should be on the table, there's one over here, which you can use one. Or AMIDST, depending on what version you wish to use. If you have a chance to speak today and you've already given your icebreaker, find a way to fit it in or owe 25 cents. Listening for the English language, I'll be listing particularly interesting or deplorable uses to report to the General Evaluator at the end of the meeting. If you happen to notice that I'm not looking up very much, it's because I look down in order to not be distracted so much and be able to hear better. But I'll be paying close attention.
Thank you, Mr. Grammarian. And our next person that will be helping us amidst the meeting is Alan, who is our counter. Please let us know what you're going to do tonight.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. The Wizard of Oz tonight, kind of appropriate. So, in order to improve the quality of our speech, the counter's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible crutches such as and you know, and double crutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next stop. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words such as and, so, or like. I will sound a buzzer when I hear any of these infractions. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or buzzed, but I will keep track of their infractions. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. And also there is a little bit more housekeeping here amidst us Toastmasters here on the lineup. We need to have somebody else for the first evaluator.
Oh, did I not? Oh, yes,
yeah.
we do.
Yeah,
You're
Patty's
right,
not
very
here tonight.
thankful. Let's see, Julian, could we get you to do
Doing
it?
your vote.
And then have our guest be the vote counter? Could we do that? Would that be all right for everyone? Because Patty didn't get here, I didn't notice that already. So thank you, if we could do it that way. That would be awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Alan, for pointing that out. I would have gotten that evaluator number 2. It's like, what? Or evaluator number 1. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, let me go ahead and move on to our timer. And please let us know, Linda, what you'll be doing.
One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought amidst a specific time frame. As timer, I am responsible for monitoring time for each speaker in each segment. I will operate the timer signal, indicating to each speaker how long he or she is speaking. For our prepared speeches, 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll turn on the green light at 5 and the yellow light in the middle range at yellow and at 6 minutes and 7 for the red.
I didn't see the red one go on. There it goes.
And for table topics, 1 to 2 minutes, so it'll go on, the green will go on at 1 and 1.5 yellow, and 2 minutes will be the red light. And you can speak for an additional 30 seconds. For the evaluator, it will be 2 to 3 minutes. So that green light will go on at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2.5, and red light at 3 minutes.
Thank you. And our vote counter, our wonderful guest, please tell us what you'll be doing tonight. Do you have your little sheet?
I will be happy to. No, I
Okay, there's a little sheet that actually has a...
do not. This evening, I will be filling in for your vote counter, and I believe what I will be doing is after the speeches and after the table topics, taking my little red bucket around so that y'all can drop your, how would I say that?
Ballots.
Thank you, your ballots in this, and then I can bring them over here and tally them up for you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, you are perfect. Yes, Ms. Gitles.
Can I suggest that you get her the appropriate forms?
Yeah, do we have that form out here somewhere?
And the certificates?
It should be there.
No, I had to,
Oh, my bad.
Sorry, thank you. I thought it was there. All right, well, as we're getting that, I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about our theme this evening, which is, as you can tell from your thing, your agenda, spring. Yes, my agenda is a thing, and it is spring, and I'm rhyming tonight. Isn't that fun? Spring is one of the 4 conventional temperate seasons following winter and preceding summer. I don't think any of you knew that. There are various technical definitions of spring, but local usage of the term varies according to local climate, cultures, and customs. When it is spring in the northern hemisphere, it is autumn in the southern hemisphere. At the spring equinox, days are close to 12 hours long, with day length increasing as the season progresses. Spring and springtime refer to the season and also to ideas of rebirth, rejuvenation, renewal, and resurrection and growth. I thought that was very interesting. I am going to go ahead in a moment. I think I will say a little bit more about our spring here so we can get our vote counter report out. There we go. Other calendar-based reckoning. According to another tradition in the United States, February 2nd, or Candlemas, can be regarded as a part of the start of spring if it is mild. That you would look towards Groundhog Day. In the U.S., the season can also be regarded as beginning on the day after President's Day, the Tuesday, the third Monday in February, and ending on the Friday before Memorial Weekend, the Friday before the last Monday in May, if that's not confusing enough. In South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, spring begins on the 1st of September and ends on the 30th of November and has no relation to the vernal equinox. And Ireland, spring traditionally starts on the 1st of February, which is also called St. Bridget's Day, although Irish meteorologists consider the whole of February to be part of winter. Now it is going to be my pleasure to start introducing our speakers for our prepared speeches this evening. I would like to introduce Ed Clark as our guest speaker this evening. Mr. Clark has been a Toastmasters member since November 2013 and is a Florida licensed surety bond agent. Ed has completed his 3rd speech and now will be speaking on his 4th speech about surety bonds. Please help me welcome Ed Clark.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. It's my pleasure to be amidst such distinguished company. Tonight I'm going to speak to you about surety bonds and describe to you what a surety bond agent is. Whenever someone comes up to me and asks me what I do for a living, I pause and I take a deep breath. When I start to describe what I do as a surety bond agent, usually people's eyes glaze over. And when I start to describe what a surety bond is, they look at me and say, uh-huh. So most people really don't know what a surety bond is. How many people here know? Okay, you do. One person does. He's probably failed once. So anyway, just give you a little bit of a history. The concept of surety bonds dates back to 2750 BC to Mesopotamia. The first surety contract was chiseled in stone, and it involved a farmer who was conscripted into the king's army, and he made an agreement with the second farmer to work his land so that when he came back, they would split the proceeds 50-50. To guarantee that the second farmer did the job, a local merchant stepped up as the surety. So the surety would guarantee that the second farmer would in fact do what he had promised to do. Fast forward 1,000 years. 1750 BC, the Code of Hammurabi. Surety is mentioned in the Code of Hammurabi, along with an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Hence, surety is often described as the world's second oldest profession. Fast forward again a few more centuries, 180 BC. Surety is mentioned in the Bible, and I'm going to have to read that one. 1850 BC, suretyship is addressed in the Bible. I quote, "An honest man is surety for his neighbor, but he that is impudent will forsake him. Forget not the friendship of thy surety, for he hath given his life for thee. A sinner will overthrow the good estate of his surety, and he that is of an unthankful mind will leave him in danger that delivered him. Surety hath undone many a good estate, and shaken them as a wave of the sea. And he that undertaketh and followeth other men's businesses for gain shall fall into suits." Essentially, this talks about the character of the person that the surety is standing up for. If they are a bad character, the surety will pay for it. That's pretty much what they're saying. So, what is a surety bond? A surety bond is a three-party agreement involving the surety, the principal, and the obligee. In that agreement, the surety provides a bond to the obligee, guaranteeing performance by the principal. There are several types of bonds. There's a bond for every day of the week, actually. There's different kinds of bonds. And they can be license and permit bonds, commercial surety bonds, court bonds, performance, and payment bonds. What I normally do is, as a bonding agent, and I'll explain what that is later, is obtain performance and payment bonds on behalf of my clients that are contractors. The performance bond guarantees that the contractor will complete the project in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contract. The payment bond guarantees that the contractor will pay all of his subs and suppliers so that the owner will have a lien-free project. So why bonds? Why are bonds? Why are bonds? The Miller Act of 1893 stipulates that certain contracts with the federal government must be bonded because they're financed with U.S. corporate, financed with our tax dollars. Every state has what is called Little Miller Acts, which essentially are the same as the Big Miller Act. What do? I'm a surety agent. My job is to be an intermediary between my client, which is a contractor, and the bonding company. What I do is I meet with my client, I gather financial information, I gather background information, I analyze it, I check their references, and I prepare a report. In that report, I tell the surety what my recommendations are and ask them to provide bonding for my client. The surety company will review my report, get back to me. Either they will accept the client or they will reject the client. If they reject the client, I've got 40 bonding companies I can go to, so I'll go see somebody else. What happens when the contractor goes bad? Let me preface that. When a surety company provides a bond to the contractor, in return, they obtain the indemnity of the contractor, the owner of the contractor, any related companies, and the spouse of the contractor. The indemnity agreement guarantees that in the event the surety has to expend any funds on behalf of the contractor because of a bond, that the indemnitors will reimburse the surety. Unfortunately, when a contractor goes broke, there's no money left. So what happens when a contractor goes broke? Contractors go bad for any number of reasons. They can have a bad job, they can be overextended, have too much work. Usually it comes down to a cash flow issue, and if the cash flow is impaired, they are unable to pay their bills. Next thing you know, there are payment bond claims, and the surety gets involved. And I'll stop right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. That was wonderful. And Linda, if we could have 1 minute on the clock for people to write their comments. For our guests, if you don't know, there's little ballots and little comments that you may write on for Ed. And you are all welcome to do that. Yes.
We need another ballot over here, another.
Okay, there's something.
Thank you very much. You surely miss our Sergeant at Arms tonight. Yes.
If we use these for comments, what will we use to vote?
On the very bottom of that same sheet, it has best speaker, best evaluator.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I was lost.
My evaluator wasn't here.
Oh, it's Julian. He's writing on a piece of paper. But he'll take it now.
After all of that.
Okay. Give another couple of seconds. Okay. Let me see here. Beltane is another part of springtime. Beltane is mentioned in some of the earliest Irish literature, and it's associated with an important events in Irish mythology. It's marked the beginning of spring and summer, and was when cattle were driven out to the summer pastures. Rituals were performed to protect the cattle's crops and people and to encourage growth. Special bonfires were kindled, and their flames, smoke, and ashes were deemed to have protective powers. The people and their cattle would walk around the bonfire or between two bonfires, and sometimes leap over flames or embers. All household fires would be doused and then relit from the Beltane bonfire. Doors, windows, briars, and cattle themselves, I think that's what it says, themselves would be decorated with yellow mayflowers, perhaps because they evoked fire. In parts of Ireland, people would make a may bush, a thorn bush decorated with flowers, ribbons, and bright shells. Holly wells were also visited, while Beltane dew was thought to bring beauty and maintain youthfulness. Many of these customs were part of May Day or midsummer festivals in other parts of Great Britain and Europe as well. I thought that was interesting. At this time, it is my honor to present to you a man whose dating life has become stuff of legend. He made it into the area finals with his humorous speech entitled "Into the Deep" after his last date. I can only imagine what he will say next. Needless to say, bless us all. Please help me welcome Advanced Communicator Silver, Johnathan Dunn. Jonathan Harold Dunn, something like that.
So like, Alan, it's killing me that you're not hitting that button. Just go ahead and let go, buddy. Just hit it a couple times real quick. Make that thing rain. 17-0. Fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests, what image does that conjure up in your mind? Perhaps The 1972 Miami Dolphins' perfect season? Perhaps, if you're a Boston fan, the record the New England Patriots had before they lost in the Super Bowl? To the amazing New York Giants, thank you so much, Giants, for eliminating that threat. Well, here's what 17-0 means in my world. It is my record in the month of March for first dates that I was able to achieve. I went on 17 first dates in the month of March. You're probably asking yourself, if you went on 17 first dates, how did you have any time left for second dates? Well, that's easy. Because my record for second dates, we just flip-flop the total. And it's 0 in 17. It's not funny. At an earlier stage in my life, I played Sherlock Holmes for a while. And I had to ask myself, John, why can't you get a second date? And I thought, is it my biceps? Look at those people. They're things of beauty. It's certainly not the biceps. Is it my perfectly coiffed hair? Kind of has a Trump aura to it. Was it the hair? No, it wasn't the hair. Now, many of you have gotten to know me pretty intimately, and you might say to yourself, John, it was probably your mind. I had asked myself the hard questions. Was it my mind that was preventing me from going on a second date? No, it wasn't. I was Kaylee. What in the world is a Kaylee? Allow me to rewind back to Easter, April 4th, 1999. That is when somebody named Kaylee was born into my life. Who the heck is Kaylee? Kaylee is my teenage daughter. She's 15 years old. I was Kaylee. Well, how did Kaylee prevent me from going on any second dates? My brilliant daughter signed me up for an Instagram account. Does anybody know what Instagram is?
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's a social media picture sharing website. When you see all these annoying hashtags in the back of words, many times it's people sending things to Instagram. The amazing part about this Instagram is I didn't know I had it. I was able to bring my tablet tonight. We can pass it around for show and tell later. But I have 87 followers. What you might be able to say with 87 followers as we analyze the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, my stuff is out there. What stuff is that? My daughter also has this amazing ability to manipulate me. She knows how to compliment me and tell her dad how funny he is. And ask her dad on many occasions, Dad, you make me laugh again. You're so funny, Dad. Recently, she had me put on my sunglasses and flash a really goofy smile. To the periphery was my niece shooting a secret photograph of this moment. My daughter attached this statement, John Dunn 72. When you see these shades on, ladies, when they're on my face, you know what I'm doing. I'm creeping. Pound creeping. Not exactly a great way to get a second date. That's exhibit 1. And there are many exhibits. Some who have seen me on the dance floor, which only happens after several drinks, could bear testimony to the fact that I'm a horrible dancer. We're all familiar with Miley Cyrus and her famous twerking episode on MTV. Let me get a little volume here. This is me twerking. Yet again, performing in a ritual dance called the Harlem Shake. And yet again, it was being secretly videotaped by my niece. Imagine me, I'm 41 years old, and I'm twerking. This one simply had the hashtag that went to Instagram, attached to my name, John Dunn 72, pound, twerk team. But perhaps the worst of all, another Harlem Shake incident. You will want to see this after the meeting's over. She said, "Dad, you're so funny. Can you do that Harlem Shake thing again? But I want you to wear a chicken head on your head. I want you to stuff your head down your sweats, and I want you to put a chicken head on top of your head." And I'm acting like the chicken in this video, and I'm twerking, and I have a fake chicken on top of my head. And once again, simply with the hashtag, the chosen one twerking. So it wasn't enough that she attached John Dunn, but she had me speak in the third person that I'm the chosen one. How did I find out about all this? I took my nephew Bradley to the movie theater a couple weeks ago. He said, "Uncle John, was that you on Instagram doing the Dougie?" That's another one that's on there. We could go on and on for hours, but this is only a 5 to 7 minute speech. I said, A, what in the heck is Instagram? And B, what the heck is the Dougie? And then I remembered in my car when I went to pick up my children, a couple weeks previous to that, my daughter had said, "Dad, there's a new song out called the Dougie, and could you do the Dougie?" I didn't know what it was, so I just started shaking around in my car. You might ask yourself, was I mad at my daughter? Did you just watch what I was doing up here? We were created in the image of Jesus. She was created in the image of me, and I'm a goofball. So I could not be mad at her. In fact, I suggested to her that for a career choice, she might want to be a professional comedian. Madam Toastmaster.
May we have 1 minute on the clock for our notes to John.
What do you need? Untitled Chapter?
Yeah, who's it for?
All right. Now if everyone will take out their ballots, if you have not done so already, and vote. Oh, first I need a timer's report. Let's do that first. Who knows?
Ed, 7 minutes and 13 seconds. John, 7 minutes 33. I may have been a slight bit slow on that. Do we have a vote if we want to count that?
You should, once you speak, it's done. You are the
You're the one that
master
determines that.
timer.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we don't need to vote, but if you wanted to go around and pick up any notes that people left and distribute it to them when they have a chance. Jonathan, just have to say, because I have teenagers too, I think on my note.
We do it to them.
Yes, that's true, we do it to them. Surprisingly, we don't get it back. But any woman worth her salt, if they saw that, should just laugh and be thinking you're endearing, and if they don't deserve it.
Not no wonder he's zeroed for 17.
Yeah, 'cause he's finding the wrong ones.
Just wait till his daughter starts singing.
Oh, God. Okay, so modern day Easter is derived from two ancient traditions. One, the Judeo-Christian, and the other pagan. Both Christians and pagans have celebrated death and resurrection themes following the spring equinox for millennia. Most religious historians believe that many elements of the Christian observance of Easter were derived from earlier pagan celebrations. Easter is not celebrated on the actual anniversary of the resurrection. Among Christians in the West, it may fall on any date between March 22nd and April 25th. Eastern Christianity uses the Julian calendar, which is currently displayed by 13 days, or delayed by 13 days from the Georgian calendar, which Western Christians use. Easter is observed in the East between April 4th and May 8th. There have been efforts to have all Christians observe Easter on the same day and other efforts to hold it on the same day each year. However, these have not been successful. And let's move on to our table topics this evening. This is a fun part of our evening, and I know Mark is going to make it even more fun. Table topic, let's see. Tonight's table topics will be hosted by Mark. Mark is a man of very few words, most likely due to his limited vocabulary. I don't believe that. He was out of commission for 2 weeks, but glad to be back here tonight. Please help me welcome Mark Lockery.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, I can honestly say that tonight's table topics has absolutely nothing to do with spring. Hopefully, it'll be enjoyable. Driving in this morning, I had a hard time seeing on the road. I thought it was fog, but it was just a mist. Does it count?
Yes, it does.
Alan, are you going to be the first? Did Julian talk to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're starting to read your instructions?
Yeah.
We're doing something a little bit different for table topics tonight. Luckily, we are in the presence of 6 experts in their field of study who will help us get through some of life's mysterious questions. So, what we have first is, Alan, you are the ace crime scene investigator here at CSI Altamont Springs. Recently, there was a murder, and the only item found in the crime scene was this. As we, your young junior investigators, please tell us what transpired here, given only this small piece of evidence.
Wow, what an interesting piece of evidence. Due to both sides being bristled, it looks like both sides were used to kill the suspect. And since there is no blood on it, it must have been used in a very specific way, which must have involved something other than blood. So therefore, the only thing I can think of for the use of this was that this object was shoved through one side of the ear and went all the way through the other side of the ear, creating a trauma which killed the person instantly. And that's why there's no blood on it, and that is what we have here. Mr. Joseph.
Thank you for that, Alan. Ed, you are an expert archaeologist. You have been summoned here to the dig site at Gitles somewhere because we need your help. We have uncovered these 2 fossil objects and have no idea what they are. Can you please explain to the rest of us here what these are and what they're used for?
I just want to let you know that ever since I was a child, I wanted to be an archaeologist. I was always interested in dinosaur bones. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and they have the Carnegie Museum of Natural History has an excellent dinosaur exhibit, a lot of bones. So I've been seeing dinosaur bones ever since I was a kid. I used to read about them. I knew the name of every dinosaur or whatever. So now that I'm out here digging in what do you call it, I've discovered these two fossilized balls. Judging from the size of these fossilized balls, they probably came from a dinosaur about that tall. And I feel sorry for him because he somehow lost them. Because we cannot find the rest of the dinosaur. So the poor thing lost these two objects, probably at a relatively young age, so I'm sure he was miserable the rest of his life. Poor thing. So, but now I have them. So what I plan on doing is making a necklace and hanging them around my neck. So the next time I go to a bar, when a woman asks me, what are those? So I'll explain it to them. And that's for these.
Thank you for sharing that, Ed. Our next expert tonight is Sam. Sam, you are an Army general, and you are in the hot seat in front of Congress. They're asking you why you requested $2 billion in funding to mass produce your new weapon. Can you please explain for the members of Congress here exactly what this is and what this is used for? Please welcome Sam.
Members of Congress, we are in the midst of a very, very trying time. Scientists from across the world have developed mutant flies and mass-produced them, and they're actually going to ship them to the United States within the next month. I need $2 billion to put this in every single household in America, and that is the only way we will survive until the next year. So please approve the money and save us all.
Funding approved. Our next expert is Bonnie. Bonnie, as the subject matter on all things extraterrestrial, you have been called here to Mission Control because we need your help. Our ship just returned from the planet Mungo and brought back this. It looks similar to something we have on Earth, but it must be used for something different. As the expert on this, can you please explain to the junior scientists what is this and what is it used for on the planet Mungo? Bonnie, everyone.
This is an energy capture. What happens though, you must be very careful when you capture it because you can see through it and it's holy. It escapes, so you got to be quick. You got to grab that energy anywhere you can get it. From anybody. Plants you have to be very delicate with though because you can fracture them. So you have to be real careful. When you have sunlight coming through the beam of a window, that's when you can gather most of your energy in here because even though it goes through, it captures inside the grid of the metal. And we use this to, y'all use naps. We get our energy from this little gizmo. We gather it. Don't ask me how we gather it. It just floats toward us if we get more energy during the course of the day. And if you break it, you can't. This lasts your lifetime. Because as the energy comes through and collects, it also strengthens the structure of this little piece right here that you would think would break because during the course of your lifetime you're opening and closing it, trying to capture all that energy for yourself of a lifetime. And we live very long on Mungo. Is that my planet? Mungo. That's it. Thank you.
Let me just check because I make sure I have the item for our next expert. Yes, I do. Our next expert tonight is actually not an expert, but a superhero. Steve, you are a superhero. And first of all, thank you for saving the planet last week. We all appreciate it, from Dr. Doom. However, this crowd of amazed onlookers is anxious to know, how did you manage to defeat evil and save the world using only this?
Some of you have seen me in the alternate persona as Master Enchanter, and you've seen the costume. You know what I've been able to do with it, and in fact, I can do some amazing things with it just like that. But unfortunately, it doesn't work on everyone. Dr. Doom is one that, of course, it doesn't work particularly well on. So when he came upon and surprised me, I was left in a lurch. What was I going to be able to do? The normal power approach wasn't working, and all I had left was this because he caught me while I was putting up my laundry, and I didn't have anything else to wear. Therefore, as I was literally naked trying to fuel this, I had to figure out a way. And if you remember Dr. Doom, and if you're familiar with him, he's the one with the big cape, the metal mask, and he's generally like the worst person you'll ever want to come across, megalomaniac to the extreme. So when he came down and he's able to shoot energy out of his gauntlets, from his armor, and all the rest of this, I was at a loss. All I could do was hope to dodge. So when he came close, all I could do was think of pull him apart and go for the only thing that's left. Those two little eye slits, just go right in. And I got lucky, because I caught him by surprise. Surprise will win it every time. So do be careful if you happen to find yourself in a situation where all you happen to have is some little thing in your hand. All it takes is a little bit of creativity, a lot of surprise, and just the gumption to sit up and go, you've got to do something. So do it! And do it! And you might be the one saving the world next week. Because the devil does.
Our next expert is Linda. And if someone could do the timer for Linda. Linda, you are the most famous historian in the world. Recently, in the caves of Ocala Springs, a wall painting was discovered, similar to this. As you know everything about history, can you please explain the origin of this picture and tell us what this possibly could represent? Linda Rose.
Thank you so much. I have not seen a specimen this clear and distinct in decades. This is a special prophecy, and we are very lucky that we've passed the point when the Mayans predicted that the earth would end, and it was strictly because these hunters in this area were pointing the wrong way. They did not ever kill the hippo. And we are all, each and every one of us, indebted to the Mayans because of their poor sense of direction. Otherwise, every single one of us would be wiped out. And I actually had a chance, I think I mentioned this, that I went and talked to an actual Mayan person right before this event happened. And this is a trip of a lifetime. And I went to the Mayan family home, and they fixed a meal for us all. It was on a cruise, but we had this special little trip. And I asked the person, what do you think is going to happen? And they said, something big. That's all they told me. I guess they didn't want to wreck it for me, because they probably knew that their ancestors facing the wrong way would not affect anything. Thank you so much.
Madam Toastmaster, how are we doing on time?
We're doing fine. We can have another.
Okay. Well, I only had 6 experts on the agenda. However, I think there are a couple other experts in the room that we can call on to fill up some time. So, Johnathan, would you be willing to lend your expertise?
Of course, sir.
I know you are an expert at reading Chinese fortune cookies. I I have one here. I would like you to open it up, read the fortune, and then give us your interpretation. Johnathan Dunn.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most honored guest. Earlier, when I came up to give my speech, I was totally out of focus. I hadn't had a single carb in 2 weeks. And of course, I was having a horrible, horrible day, paying some fees to the state for running my business that were kind of unexpected. And of course, Toni brings in and sits all these cookies next to me. And now I'm out of control, and of course, as fate would have it, Mark asked me to step in the last second. Gives me my favorite kind of cookie in the whole wide world, outside of peanut butter. Thank you, Mark, as if I needed any more sugar. But to answer your question, your mind is creative, original, and alert. Isn't that the truth? It's so funny that I would get this. Earlier today, I was being counseled on this very subject. Our whole lives, from the moment we're born, we're in the womb, everything's being taken care of. We pop out, then we have these commercials. We have peer pressure. We have all these things pulling out our mind, telling we need all these things to be happy. My analysis is this. Our mind is creative. Our mind is original. Our mind is alert. If we do just one thing, take every single thing we learn from kindergarten and forget it. It was all wrong, because the things that matter are totally outside of what the marketing companies have force-fed down our throats. For anywhere in this room, I would say 20 to 40 years. So your mind is creative. It is original. It is alert. If you're just willing to go back to that place when you were young and things didn't matter and you didn't have an agenda. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Can we please get a timer's report?
We have Alan with the bottle brush, and he qualified. Ed with the ping pong balls, and he qualified. Sam with the giant fly swatter, he did not qualify. Bonnie with the T-ball, she qualified. Steve with the clothespin, he qualified. Me with the cave drawing, I qualified. And John with the fortune cookie, and he qualified.
Wow, that was truly amazing. I believe we have answered all of life's mysteries. So, Madam Toastmaster, I relinquish control back to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, since we had our timers report, everyone can please vote for those who qualified. And Bonnie will be around to pick up your votes. Thank you, Bonnie. So Easter is coming up, and we have talked about that a little bit in Wikipedia language, but here in the Morgan home, we have always had Easter with all the kids, and we have an Easter hunt, Easter egg hunt, and Easter baskets, the Easter bunny thumbs. Now I have, the triplets are 17, my younger son is 14, and my stepson is 12. And everyone keeps saying, well, do you really think they want to have an Easter egg hunt? Do you really think they want an Easter basket anymore? And I said, you know what? Mommy wants them to have an Easter basket, so doggone it, they're going to have an Easter basket. I think they'll be okay with the candy. But there is also another spring-related holiday, which is Passover. And it says here from Wikipedia, the Jewish people celebrate Passover as a commemoration of the liberation of over 3,000 years ago by God from slavery in ancient Egypt. that was ruled by the pharaohs, and their freedom as a nation under the leadership of Moses. It commemorates the story of the Exodus as described in the Hebrew Bible, especially in the book of Exodus, in which the Israelites were freed from slavery in Egypt. They pretty much said the same thing. Passover commences on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan and lasts for either 7 days in Israel or 8 days in Diaspora. In Judaism, a day commences at dusk and lasts until the following dusk. Thus, the first day of Passover only begins after dusk of the 14th of Nisan at the end of dusk on the 15th day of the month of Nisan. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. I'm not Jewish, but I have Jewish friends, and I've always wondered more about what Passover was about. The next portion of our meeting is our evaluations, and that is going to be a lot of fun too. I always love this part of the meeting. It's where we learn the most. And my job this evening is over. So I am going to pass the lectern on to our next person. Mickey D has been a member of CFF for 3 years. She served as the club secretary for a few terms, and now she is the VP Ed. She is very excited with her new role and trying to learn and share with others as much as possible about public speaking. Please help me welcome our general evaluator tonight, Mickey D.
First of all, it's good to be among friends. Yay! Mark, my friend, thank you so much for not asking me any questions during the table topics. I was getting dizzy with being so stressed out. You speak so well, all of you. You have so much imagination. It's unbelievable. I just love it. Just don't ask me any questions. I love table topics, but I'd rather ask the questions than to have to answer them. Whew, I owe you a beer.
Maybe we should go somewhere with a beer.
Now, for the benefit of our guests, I am the general evaluator today, and I'm going to conduct the evaluation portion of our meeting. I am going to call for reports from the speech evaluators, timer, grammarian, and counter. And then I will comment on the quality of the evaluations given by the evaluators of the prepared speeches and the table topics. Our first evaluator tonight, Julian Coto. Julian has been a member of the Central Florida Facilitators for 3 years. During this time, he has learned many speaking skills. He is currently working towards his Advanced Communicator Silver Award. He is still learning how to provide effective positive feedback. Tonight, he is continuing to learn these skills with evaluating Ed Clark's speech, Surety bonds. Please help me welcome our first evaluator tonight, Julian Coto.
I am honored to be amidst some of the most creative, imaginative, and alert minds in Orlando, especially that of Ed Clark. Ed's speech was the fourth speech. Ed, I want to tell you, you have improved so much from your first and second speeches that I watched, and it's remarkable to see a new member, how they improve as they follow the Toastmasters program. The goal of Ed's speech was how to say it. So His goal was to write for the ear, to be concise, to be accurate, to use rhetorical devices, and to avoid unnecessary words and jargon. Now, Ed, you were very accurate in what you said. Certainly you are an expert in the surety bond business, which is what you do for a living. And your words were very accurate, short, and to the point. The speech could have been better if you would have allowed your personality to come through. You're a funny guy. And you're almost like that humorous side of you almost wants to get out, but you're not sure how to do that. I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Now, in this speech, you were supposed to use some rhetorical devices. Now, one of the best ways to start a speech is with a question, a rhetorical device, or a quote. And instead of making the speech so technical, you could have made a story out of it. For instance, you could have told a story about Johnathan. He's got this building he wants to build, but he's not sure about the contractor. Is he going to get screwed? Is the guy going to finish on time? Is he going to get stuck with the liability of him not paying his subs? And you could have said the same thing around the story and interjected humor in that story, and it would have brought your story to life, okay? And you could have interjected, besides just starting maybe with some kind of rhetorical devices, you could have weaved the whole speech into a story, and that would have been a more effective way of saying the same thing. I think you've made great progress, and I applaud you. Thank you, Madam.
I said that Julian has been a member of this club for 3 years, but I think he has a lot of experience with Toastmasters prior to joining our club, because he's pretty good. His evaluations are great. Always something to learn from them. And Ed, I have to say that you were the most relaxed I've ever seen you when you gave a speech. You just gave the presentation, you were relaxed, no ahs and ums. You were familiar with the topic. I could tell that. So congratulations. Our next evaluator tonight, Toni Gitles, has been a member of our club since 2004. Toni is 21 weeks post-op, a total hip replacement. After giving 2 more speeches and finishing this term, she will have a total knee replacement this summer. Hopefully, Humpty Dumpty will be back together again by 2015. Evaluating the speech of Johnathan Dunn tonight, please welcome our evaluator, Toni Gitles.
17, 0. I don't know about sports, but I do know I've had 17 Oreo cookies this week and no vegetables. Madam Toastmaster, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Johnathan. Johnathan is speaking from an advanced manual, humorously speaking, and he had a very specific project here. Johnathan, I may be going rogue here a little bit, because humor and joke telling and storytelling, not particularly my area of expertise, but I have an opinion about your speech. First of all, you were humorously speaking. And you're fun. You're fun to watch, and it's a talent that you have. You enjoy being in front of people. We can tell. You laugh at yourself. You tell stories on yourself. And I would have been totally embarrassed to do that speech. But you seem to have a good time with it. And so did your audience, which is equally important, that they were with you during the speech. Your opening was, you were supposed to tell a self-deprecating joke. Now, I didn't think it was a joke. It might be a joke. It was kind of a story, but it got our attention, and that was the point, to establish rapport with the audience, to connect with us, and to get their attention for the rest of your speech. So I thought you did that well. A few comments on how I think this might be more effective. And this is where the hard part comes in for an evaluator. Because in these advanced projects, and I learned this several years ago, how you interpret the project might be different than how other people, especially your evaluator, interprets the project. All of you have in front of you his objectives for this speech. They really were related to putting jokes into the body of the speech, telling a self-deprecating opening joke, and ending on a humorous story. So there's a combination of things that he's practicing. Joke telling, stories in a speech, and making it work. I honestly felt you gave a self-deprecating speech. I didn't hear the transitions between your speech and your jokes. You know, and it was, like I said before, it was entertaining, but I noticed also that you didn't do project number 1 or 3. And in this book particularly, it builds on each other so that you really understand what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you feel like you're accomplishing it, but I'd have you go back to each of the projects and maybe think through a different topic and be very specific on the jokes and the stories and how you transition back and forth. Well, I love you, Johnathan. You're full of surprises. 17-0, have some more cookies.
I am happy to say that Toni is my mentor, and I think she should be everyone's mentor.
Didn't have enough to do, right?
Well, I need a mentor on this manual. Jump in. You know, I want to say too, it would be interesting to get feedback from other people on this project in view of the specific tasks. I think it would give you a more well-rounded view.
What I like about Toni is that she has a crystal clear mind when it's about evaluating speeches. I love this.
Thank you, Mickey.
About Jonathan's speech, your charm is well known already, okay? You are great every time you give a speech. From the technique to how you present it, how you smile, to the words you choose, everything is great. I keep telling you this every time. Now, as we're getting close to the end of this segment, I'd like to ask for the timer's report for evaluators.
Yes, both evaluators qualify.
Yay.
Julian with 3 minutes 18 seconds, Toni with 3 minutes 26 seconds.
If you could please vote for the best evaluator tonight. While I'm going to have our grammarian present his report.
Madam General Evaluator, word of the day got a pretty good bit of use today. I noted it from our guest Bonnie before I even introduced it. Heard it from Susan, Allen, Linda, Ed, Mickey, and Julian. And And then I heard some very interesting uses. Sam, you actually used a different word, in the midst, which is very close to the same word itself in meaning. But I did like that choice of words very nicely. You wouldn't have had to pay anyway. As for our table topic master over here. Great pun, but it one word a day.
I'll just write a check again.
Other uses things that I noted here of the English language, I found interesting or could be improved on. I heard the "without further ado" cliche. It helps to get rid of the cliches because everyone's heard them and we usually end up getting tired of them. And in case you weren't unsure, the "without further ado," the "ado" is the inane, useless stuff is what it's supposed to be. Okay. We don't want that kind of stuff. We like inanity, that's what. I also heard that would be awesome. I thought amidst a particular time frame was the use of it. In that case, anxiety-ridden tradition was a great choice of words there. A car went sink right in front of me. I haven't heard a car make that sound before.
That's what Jaguars do.
But it was a nice use of onomatopoeia. I heard about it. I'll stop right there, and it's not funny, although it was. Guadala somewhere followed by Guadala whatchamacallit. Those interesting words in there. I thought I heard when you were doing the table topic, and you were trying to say, it sounded like you said our mind is. You might have been saying your. If it was our, I was getting confused because it sounded like we all had one mind. And those were amongst the things, and the best part, of course, was probably the invented word Katie. So keep using that one.
That's why I don't want Stephen to grammar, because he's too good at it. And I'm usually
You don't want me to grammar?
No, this is what you put in your email, remember? And now for those who don't know what annoys Stephen the most, the cliche that annoys him the most is, and now, the last but not the least, our accountant will give us his report. Alan, please. Thank you.
Susan Morgan had a total of 0. John Dunn had a total of 0. Ed Clark had a total of 7 odds and ums, 2 double clutches, and 4 bridge words for a total of 13. Toni Gitles had 3 odds and ums, no double clutches or no bridge words, for a total of 3. Mark Lowry had 1 on and 1 bridge word for a total of 2. Linda Earls had 2 odds and ums, 2 double clutches, and 1 bridge word for a total of 5. I had 4 odds and ums, no double clutches, and no bridge words for a total of 4. Steve Morgan had a total of 0. Sam had a total of 1 odds and ums, and 1 bridge word for a total of 2. Bonnie had no odds and ums, 1 double clutch, and no bridge words, so she just hit 1. Mickey D had 3 odds and ums, 1 double clutch, for a total of 4, no bridge words. And Julian had 1 double clutch for, that's it.
Thank you, Alan. Now a few words about the meeting in general. It started on time, and I can say this because I was almost late. I got here at 6:45 sharp, and the meeting was starting. I appreciated the fact that despite of the few people that couldn't make it tonight, Susan managed to fill the roles in the last minute, and I have to thank Bonnie for helping us tonight, and Julian for jumping in, and all of you for volunteering to participate and to take on roles. Linda, she switched in the last minute just to help us because we were in a situation. I loved the table topics, and Mark, if you ever quit coming to this club, I'm going to hunt you down. You were so funny. I appreciated the fact that we all had introductions. Even, I know I'm the worst one and Johnathan keeps giving me a hard time. I made it in the last second. I put down a few words and yes, we're getting better and better with this. And we kept in time, we're in time. And I think this was another